Okay, today's our topic is research critiquing or research critic. Okay, this topic is present in BMS third phase research subject syllabus, and this is the last chapter in the research chapter, research subject, 10th chapter, the 10th one, last chapter. Critic means that is criticizing someone or analyzing someone, or that is examining some things is the critiquing. Okay, the meaning of critic is criticizing some things. What it means research criticism? The research critiquing is nothing but the someone who did the research, okay, in that the what are the good things, okay, that is the what are the strength are there and what are the weakness are there about that particular research study. Okay, that is nothing but the research critiquing. Okay, now we'll study the definition. The definition is it is the systematic process of evaluating research study. Okay, it means that systematically one by one we will evaluating the study to assess the strength, weakness, validity, reliability and applicability in the particular field. Okay, in which field the research is there, in that, okay, whether the research is good, the what is the strength of that particular article and what are the weakness are there in that article, validity, okay, and reliability and applicability in the particular field. That is criticizing is nothing but, or analyzing is nothing but research critics. Here it helps to determine the quality and usefulness of the research finding in practice for the research. Okay, whatever the study it is there, the criticizing some things or critiquing is nothing but this helps. Okay, this is one of the good things to know the determine the quality, okay, of the particular study and useful in the finding the practice. Okay, how that article is, that how it is useful, that is for further study also how it is helpful. By criticizing only we can know. Okay, now come to the steps involved in the criticizing the or critiquing the research works. Okay, how step by steps we can analyze the critiquings, okay, in the field of research. The first thing is that introduction and background of evaluation. Okay, whenever the research article is came in your hand, then we can analyze the introduction. What is that? The assess the clarity of the research problem, whether the researcher is did proper way, that is the clarity is there about the research problem, the problem is clearly stated. Okay, is there necessary of that study is written or not in that research paper, that we have to assess. And next one, evaluate the significance of study. Okay, whatever the study is there, whether it is necessary to do that study, okay, whether it is at present scenario is it required to that study, that also we have to assess or evaluate the significance. Next one, check the strong justification for the study is the provided. Okay, the researcher should clearly give the conclusion, that is the logic why the problem it is, okay, what are the problems are there, why the researcher did or done this particular study. That strong justification should be there in that related to the particular study topic. Okay, in that also you have to know in the criticizing, before criticizing. The next one, literature review. Okay, you know that whenever the someone is starting the research, the second step is after the research problem, the second is the literary review. Okay, the researcher should review the literature. Okay, in this literature criticizing, we have to know the researcher is done the proper way of the advocate literature research or literature search or not, that is analyzed. Our duty is to analyze the advocacy, advocate literature, whether he or she did on the other topic, and the relevance, it is the related literature only he searched or unrelated also he searched, that also we can analyze by the research by the study of the research. Next one, determine whether the current relevant and credible source are used. You know that simply research study is done someone is not a good thing, whether the study is the current present research related it is there. Okay, if someone is used the more than 30 years 40 years the research articles as a literature review, that is present scenario, that is not, we cannot correlate with that one. That is a something is that review of the literature, it is related to 4 years 5 years, that is the, we can compare that present what are the things are there, we can correlate it current study. And relevant, whether the particular literature is related to the particular topic or not, that also we have to evaluate. And next one, credible sources are there. You know, the so many sources are there. Whenever you are finding the journals, in that the some one is that is not trustable, or there is the reliable resources are not there, or somewhere that is the peer reviewed journals also available and not peer reviewed. In that we have to only the researcher whether peer reviewed journals they are used as a reference or literature review, that also we have to analyze, because the reliability should be there. The next one is the check if the gap in the knowledge is clearly identified. Okay, what it means, whenever we are searching the our related topic, the in the previous literature only we will get the idea that the what are the previous in the previous literature. Okay, what are the gaps are there. Okay, what we have to do better than that previous research, that should be clearly written in that particular article or particular study. That also we have to know, the check the gap of knowledge is clearly given or clearly identified or not. Okay, the next step is the research problem objective and hypothesis. Okay, the next thing is the research problem objective and hypothesis. Assess whether the research problem is clearly stated. Okay, in that article, whether the research problem is clearly written or not, that first of all we have to assess. After that, identify whether objectives and hypotheses are specific, measurable and aligned with the problems. Okay, in that we have to clearly we have to note, okay, whether the objectives clearly mentioned or not, and as well as hypothesis is clearly mentioned or not. Okay, whether this topic or this is the solutions, or whatever the solution it is there properly given or not, hypothesis properly related or not, that is the what is called two variables, that is the relables, what is called variables are properly given or not, that also we have to assess in the research hypothesis. Okay, research is whether measurable, is that clearly, that is the null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis, measurable research it is there, hypothesis it is there, or aligned with the problems. Okay, whether the two variables, that is the relation it is there or not, that also we have to evaluate in this one. Next, fourth one is the research design and methodology. Okay, the next what we have to assess or what we have to analyze in the critics, the next one is the identify the type of research designs. Okay, which type of the research design it is given, that we have to analyze in the 4 steps, the whether it is the research design is it qualitative, quantitative or mixed methods. Okay, whenever we are going for the data collections, okay, research designs should be clearly should be given whether which type of the research design it is there. Okay, the numberings we have to take, the how many 10 out of that, how much percent, 100 out of 50% relieved, or how many patients, whether the numbering it is there quantitative or qualitative, only symptoms we are collecting, that should be clear, or mixed method research design it is there, that we have to assess. Next one, evaluate the appropriation of the designs, whether it is appropriately related or not, that also we have to assess. Next one is the review sampling methods. Okay, whether the proper sampling is given, okay, whether it is the RCT is given or other methods, that also should be clearly mentioned in that research articles. Or sample size, okay, whether it is a justification is given, how much patients or how much the volunteer is taken, 40, 30, 60, 100, okay, that is whether justification is given, why that much only patients are taken, or that particular volunteer taken, the justification of the sample size also should be available. Inclusion and exclusion criteria, okay, why the inclusion is given, why the exclusion is given in that article, okay, whether the pregnant ladies is excluded, whether children are excluded, that should be clearly mentioned, why excluded the persons also in that, while we are reviewing the research, that should be clearly mentioned, that also we have to analyze. The next one, ethical consideration. Okay, in the research articles, whenever we are reviewing or criticizing, that research article should be clearly given the ethical consideration. Check whether the ethical clearance it is there. Okay, if you are doing any that is academic related research, whether the institutional review board given the permission or not, whether the consent is taken from the volunteers or patients, that should be clearly should be there in that article. The check for the ethical clearance and informed consent should be there in that research. The next one, evaluate the confidentiality and particular safety of air mentions. Okay, maintained. So in that research, the whether the confidentiality of the particular volunteer should be there or not. Okay, the researcher maintained their confidentiality, that also we have to evaluate. Along with that, whether the safety are taken or not. Someone is patient, if you are given the some interventions, due to that intervention whether the some adverse effect are happen, that also the what are the methods the taken, that also mentioned it is there or not, that also we have to observe or evaluate in these steps. Okay, the next one, data collections. The data collections method, in that the analyzing here is the analyze the tools or techniques used. Data collection, in that we have to analyze what are the instruments or the tools we are using. Okay, that is the we can tell as a weighing machine or microscope, HPLC, so many instruments are there, whether the proper tools are we are using or not, or the researcher used or not, or the data collection properly method did or not, whether it is maybe interview method, telephonic methods or questionnaire methods, how the data is collected, that also we have to analyze before critics. Okay, the next one is the 7-step data analysis. Okay, whatever the data is collected, that also we have to analyze. Okay, by using the statistical methods. Okay, different method statistical data we have to use, that evaluate whether the appropriate statistical or analytical method will use, assess if data support the research hypothesis. Okay, the data is whether it is support their research hypothesis, that also we have to analyze. Identify the interpretation of objective and logic. Okay, in that we have to identify whether it is the interpretation is objective and logic, it is logically or interpreted is there or not, that also we have to analyze. Okay, the next one is the findings and discussions. In that article, whether the findings are clearly given or not, the review the presentation and results, whether in that article whether the illiterate people also they are understandable form they are given or not, like it may be like maybe table form, chart forms, that is easily understandable result it is given or not. Check the discussion related findings to literature, it is there or not. Okay, the discussion is properly given related to the literature, it is there or not, that also we have to analyze before criticizing. Okay, evaluate how well limitations are acknowledged. Okay, in that we also know the how much the limitations are mentioned or not. Okay, whether the researcher is mentioned the limitations. Okay, why the patient is not taken that limited volunteers only. Okay, why the patient is why the research has taken limited time only. Okay, what are the limitations are there, that also we have to analyze whether it is related to the that research topic, that also we have to analyze before criticizing. Okay, the next one, conclusion and recommendations. Okay, the next one is conclusion and recommendation. In that, assess whether the conclusion is based on the finding it is there. Okay, whatever the finding it is there, how much it is result it is given, that is the conclusion is it is, we can assess whether the conclusion is based on finding or not, that also analyze before criticizing. Okay, evaluate the practical recommendations. Okay, we have to evaluate the nowadays it is that is the evidence based medicines we are using. Okay, for that we have to evaluate whether the practically that study or the article can we implement, or practically we can recommend for that future or the next generation, that also we have to evaluate. Check for generalizability and applicability of result, whether the result it is the generality or applicability result it is there or not, that also we have to analyze in this step. The next one, oral presentation and writing style. In these steps we have to know the oral presentation, how it is the written it is there or not, that also. Check the clarity, whether the clarity is there or not, the coherence and structure writing, the proper method of structure and writing it is mentioned or not in that research article, that also we have to check. And ensure the absence of grammatical and typographical mistakes, whether in that article, whether typical that is the typographical mistakes or grammatical mistakes are there, that also we have to analyze, okay, before criticizing. Okay, the next one, evaluate reference style or citation accuracy, whether the proper reference it is given, okay, from where the it is taken, that referencing proper given it is there, or citation it is there or not, that also we have to analyze. The next one, the conclusions. Okay, conclusion about the today's topic. The critiquing research is essential to ensure that scientific studies are trustworthy, applicable, and high quality. Okay, why it is that? It means the critiquing research is nothing but it is an essential step. Okay, this is the one of the important steps to ensure the scientific studies. In the scientific study, the research critiquing is an essential step. Here, why it is? Because of the trustworthy. The study should be trustworthy, and the research study should be applicable. Okay, next one, the high quality research should be there. That's why the critiquing is useful. Okay, the next one, a structured critiquing helps to improve the future researcher. Okay, the proper structured researcher help for the improve the future researcher and guide the evidence based medicines. This proper did methods research is help to the guide the evidence. You know, Ayurveda is nowadays the evidence based medicines. Okay, previously the different methods we are using, now Ayurveda is converted into the totally evidence based medicines. For that purpose also critiquing is necessary, and now the guide the evidence based supply the this support the scholarly rigorous. Okay, this will help for the scholars to study or rigorously to understand the what are the good things are there, that is the their strength and weakness are there. Okay, through all that we can analyze the what are the things we have to criticize in that research, okay, related to the research paper or article. Okay, this is all about the today's class. Okay, thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.